What's going on, everyone? My name's Kyle Dunning, and today I wanted to help you guys out with finding a supplier on Alibaba. So for selling on Amazon, the first thing you have to do is find your product, but once you have a product that you want to outsource and sell on Amazon, you need to find a company to make it for you, right? So for our first example, we're going to use this dog squeaky ball, right? So you look on here, you determined using Jungle Scout or other methods that there's good sales. It's like decent sales. Everything's really cheap though, you know, prices range. So usually I want to look for something more, but this is just an example. So the first place I would go to look is Alibaba, and that's where I've outsourced all my products. So the first thing that'll pop up when you go to Alibaba.com is just this main page, and all you have to do is go to the search bar and type in whatever the main keywords are for your product. Now keep in mind that a lot of these distributors don't speak English well, or it's not their first language at least. So a lot of times the keywords will be different than what we would use traditionally. So a dog squeaky ball might be, I don't know, rubber squeaker for pets, right? So it's like kind of different. It's the same thing. It's just they don't use the same adjectives and ways of describing the product. So we'll just start with what we know. Dog squeak ball. It's pretty basic. What we'll first pull up is every single product that is on there that meets those that criteria for the keywords you put in, and they even highlight it for you in the title. So dog, ball, dog, squeak. So you can see it in the title, and you can just scroll through and look at all of these. As you can see right here, there's 213 products or 213 suppliers that sell the product that you're looking for. So the next question is, okay, well, how do I decide which distributor to go to? It's kind of intimidating, talking to a large company as an individual trying to start your own business. So the easiest way to go through it is to have different search criteria for the suppliers. So for supplier types right here, you can go and click on each of these. And basically what they are different qualifications for that Alibaba goes through to help you sort through the different distributors. So trade assurance basically means that if you pay them, your distributor, for the products, and they don't end up sending you the products, Alibaba will refund the payment that you made. Or I think the distributor doesn't even get the money up front. Alibaba holds it in limbo until the product is sent out to you. And then gold supplier just means that they have a certain amount of time under their belt. Basically a subscription-based service that sellers pay to have that badge essentially on the Alibaba website, and it helps for people like you and me to choose them because you realize, okay, well, they've been on the site and making sales for a certain amount of years. So 1 year's, that's good, but it's not great. But if you go down to this one, oh wow, 11 years as a gold supplier. So I would be more willing to trust a company that's been doing business overseas on the Alibaba website for 11 years versus someone that's been only doing one. Now, not to say 1 year is bad, but if all things were equal, I would obviously go with the 11 years just because it's more reliable, right? And then the last thing is the assessed supplier, is when they've had a third party come and review basically their practices and make sure that everything is legit. And then I guess there's an assessment that you can download to check it out. But what I usually do is just click all of these different things, and that helps to narrow down the group of sellers, essentially. You don't have to do this, and a lot of times what will happen is not a lot of the suppliers don't have assess supplier. So if it's hard to find your product, it's okay to go without that. Just be more wary when you're talking to suppliers. But to start out, you might as well do that. So I clicked all of the supplier types, and then I just can look through here wanting to do. So maybe I, really like these specific dog toys that squeak, right? And they're really cheap, 34 cents. Okay, so you can just look right here. This is kind of an estimate. Once you contact them, a lot of times they'll give you a range, like this one right here. And so the more you order, the less per unit you'll have to pay. I assume that goes the same for this one. A lot of times you can cut them a deal. So let's say this one's 500 pieces minimum order. A lot of times they'll allow less. So let's say you could probably get away with 34 cents for like 300 pieces. But then maybe on your next order, or your first order, even if you just really want to buy a lot, you buy 1,000. And you're like, okay, I'm buying a lot of product from you. I would like the price per unit to be lowered to 29 cents. And then a lot of times they'll agree. They want your business. They're making a profit off of it. So a lot of times they'll go down in price the more you pay for. My suppliers, when I reorder, they just told me that they would give me a better price. When I ordered more, usually if a product takes off, you want to order double the next time just so you don't run out of inventory on Amazon. And so what I did is I ordered double, and they immediately, after hearing that I wanted to order that much, just cut the price down on my behalf without even having to ask. But definitely ask if they don't do that for you. And then, yeah, so you can just go through here, scroll. There's a bunch of different ones. So these aren't like necessarily balls, right? So maybe we just really want a basic squeak ball, but none of these really are doing it for me. So you can just go and then uncheck assess supplier, right? It's not mandatory to have that. And then all of a sudden we have almost 100 more products, and we can just go through here, and these meet our criteria more. And the prices are better. So instead of having to pay 30 cents a unit, we're looking at 20 cents a unit for these dog toys that, I would rather be selling maybe, right? And that can work for a variety of different products. For instance, let's say you want to sell foam rollers, right? So you're on Amazon, you've looked it up already, you know the Jungle Scout numbers, and let's say for like this one, obviously like foam rollers is really competitive. They all have a lot of reviews, but they have like an insane amount of sales. So maybe you have some magic way of getting to the top 10, and you really need to get a supplier for that. So then I can just go in to Alibaba again, just foam roller. And again, I always like to have the gold supplier and trade assurance. Even if you don't end up using the trade assurance to buy the products from them, a lot of times they'll offer you cheaper ways of doing it, like doing just like a wire transfer or going through PayPal. Sometimes they prefer. And trade assurance kind of takes a while. I know one of my suppliers, they would rather do PayPal because it's more immediate. And trade assurance, they were trying to get, or I think the trade assurance was going to take an extra, at least an extra week to get the order through, and I needed the product quicker than that, and that's kind of a long time to be waiting. So instead of just doing the Alibaba's trade assurance way, I went through PayPal, which is also secure, and got my product that way. But if they offer trade assurance, it makes me trust them more, just because they have the potential of going through trade assurance, and they wouldn't screw you because that would ruin their Alibaba account. So I just click it, not necessarily going to use it. I can go through here. Maybe I don't have a lot of startup capital, and I can only afford 100 of these foam rollers. So right now I have 40,000 products that meet the criteria. And if I do minimum order 100, it goes from 40,000 to 20,000. So cut in half. So a lot of suppliers don't want to do smaller orders because it's more expensive for them. But you can find suppliers that way that can do smaller quantity orders, kind of like a test order. A lot of times when I contact the suppliers and maybe I don't want to spend a ton of money up front because I'm nervous it won't sell. You can do like a test order and just tell them that you're doing a test order, and in the future you'll be paying a lot. And sometimes that's a good way to negotiate your price point per unit. But anyway, minimum order 100, and then you can just go through here, and there's a ton of. That's a really popular item. And then I'm looking through here, and you can look at the supplier's information over here. So like this one, for example, has had 3 transactions in the past 6 months. So that makes me kind of wary because that's really small. They've only done business 3 times in half of a year, essentially. That's kind of worrisome to me. But then when I go up and then I see, okay, this one, they have 25 transactions. They're doing over $200,000 of business in half a year. Okay, that makes me more comfortable. They have a good response rate. So I would be more willing to do business with someone like this, even though they only have a year as a gold supplier compared to 3 years. They're doing more business. They have more transactions. So a lot of the time, they'll be a lot better at what they do. And so you don't have to deal with maybe a smaller company that's kind of all over the place and disorganized. But yeah, those are the things that I look for in Alibaba. Once you find a supplier that you want to contact, there's chat. So they're away right now, but if I wanted to, I could contact them over like a chat that's a lot quicker. Or if they're away, or for whatever reason you don't want to chat and you just want to send them an email, you can click Contact Supplier. It'll pop up with this little setup. And if you have your Alibaba account, it saves all of your messages that you've sent out to different suppliers. Most suppliers will get back to you. What I would do is go through all the different suppliers and pick 10. And I know it seems like a lot, but send out 10 emails to these different suppliers and just get different bids for your business. A lot of times, the things that I would look for are how quick they respond to you. I know a lot of people have issues with getting their suppliers to contact them. And, if you have an emergency, or even if you want to change your order, or if you need to order more supply down the line and they take a week to respond to you, even if they're cheaper, that might not necessarily be the way to go, because you can seriously hurt your business by running out of inventory. So that's something that I look for. As well as a lot of these people selling on Alibaba are just distributors. They don't actually make the product. So what I found out is that a lot of the distributors on here buy from one company, and that company also sells on Alibaba to us part of the time. So if you can just go through and find, it's difficult to tell, but if you can go through and find that main supplier that even supplies the other Alibaba sellers, their price will be dramatically lower. And it'll be obvious when you find them, because not all the time do they do this, but sometimes you can find the actual supplier to these people if they don't actually create it themselves, and the price will be, half off about. And sometimes these guys, they try to take advantage of you and will just throw out these like ridiculous numbers. Like for this, for example, this foam roller, maybe they come back to you and they're like, oh yeah, we can sell you one foam roller each for $6 a piece. And you're like, what's going on? Because this is, it says $1 to $3, and they do some runaround BS on you. But that's the kind of stuff that you have to deal with a couple of these suppliers. So it's just good to get a bunch of bids, and then the people that want to do business the most are going to give you a fair price and be in contact with you often. So that's pretty much all my tips for Alibaba and searching for a distributor or a supplier for your products on Amazon. There are other sites that you can look at. I haven't used them. One of them is dhgate.com, which I haven't had as much luck with, but apparently a lot of people like it. So you can search for that as well. And then another one is AliExpress, which is kind of like you can order smaller quantities usually compared to Alibaba. And so sometimes that's good for maybe really expensive products, I would imagine, because you don't want to buy a ton of them up front. Maybe you are buying like a $150 product that you're selling on Amazon and it costs on here $75. So you want a low minimum order quantity because you can't buy 100 unless you have $10,000 to spare, but a lot of people don't. So AliExpress can be good in those scenarios. But mainly, I would stick to Alibaba. It's been great for me, and I think you guys will have a lot of luck finding your suppliers through them. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about Alibaba or suppliers or anything else that you want me to cover. Thanks.